Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be giving you a super quick run through of Zoho Learn. Now if you're a Zoho One customer, Zoho Learn comes included in your Zoho One subscription, so chances are you're already paying for this, so it's worthwhile knowing what it is. So Zoho Learn is an internal knowledge management system and learning platform. You may have come across things like this previously. Trainual is probably the most famous example of this type of product and it's very popular. But what it allows you to do is build internal knowledge guides or SOPs, depending on how you talk about them internally, internal courses, and then group those all into spaces. You can, if you want, actually also invite guests into here as well. So if you have a product or a service that you offer and you want to invite in customers to see your knowledge guides or follow courses, you can do that within Zoho Learn as well. There is an additional cost to have those guest users outside of Zoho One, but it is fairly minimal. So I'm just scrolling through here on the features page, but I'm going to take you into the actual application in just a moment. So if we switch over here, I'm in my test system here and I'm logged in as an admin user. And when I log into Zoho Learn, I get a couple of key tabs. I've got the Knowledge tab, the Learning tab, Spaces, and Reports. Knowledge is pretty straightforward. This is where I can go in and add my guides and they can be grouped into different manuals. So for example, I might go in here and create a manual for, say, marketing within my business. I can choose a location. This is where I can link it to a space, and I'll talk more about spaces in a moment, but I'll hit create. And that then creates a brand new marketing guide or marketing manual within my Zoho Learn. When I click into there, I can then start adding chapters or adding additional content such as videos, PDFs, etc. From my main screen, I can also add articles, and articles sit within your manual. So if I give it an article called, I don't know, how to post to LinkedIn, I can do that, hit create, and then I can start building my article. And that article can be as long or as big as you want. Effectively, you're building it in Zoho Writer or like Microsoft Word. And I can put as much in there as I like. So if I just get in some fake text and just generate a load of fake text here just to pop in there. There we go. So I'll copy this fake text and I will pop that into here. I can then hit publish, and that guide is now going to be a part of my marketing manual. So now when I go in and I want to know a question about marketing, I can click into marketing and there's my guide. And it keeps track of how many people have viewed it, how often it's been updated, and all that kind of stuff that you would want from an LMS system. And as I say, you can add additional things as well. You can embed PDFs, you can add videos and all that kind of thing you might want. So this is particularly helpful for having a centralized place to store all of these sort of user guides across your business. But when a user is brand new, you might want to set them to go for a specific set of training before they start working within the business. This is where the Learning tab comes in. So I've started already creating a course called Weekly Gardening Services. Now if I go in and hit the create button, this is where you can go in and create your course. I can give it a name. I'm going to call it, Monthly Gardening Services, and hit create. Then what I do within that course is I then start adding in lessons and tests even, so that when a new employee is going through it, they're following a set route of information and then they're being tested on that information as well if you want. So I can go in and add lesson and I can call it, let's say, we'll just call it lesson 1 if I can type, hit create. Then we can do lesson 2, lesson 3, etc. Now once I've added my lessons, I can then go in and add content. Now, there's lots of different types of content I can add, but I normally recommend adding blocks. The reason I recommend adding blocks is because then actually you can add any of these individual bits, but you've got a bit more flexibility. So I'm going to go in and add a block. And let's say for lesson 1, the first thing I want to do is add some text. So I'm going to go in and add some text. And you can see there's different types of text. It can be columns, it can be an accordion, it can be a paragraph. I'm just going to add a paragraph and I'm going to put in that text we copied earlier. I then might want to add a video, so I can either upload or embed a video. Then I can go in and maybe add a process, and this has multiple pages, so I can put page 1 is this, page 2 might be this, And obviously I can kind of make this look however I like. Obviously I'm picturing this now for ourselves. We would have a guide on how to use ClickUp, because that's what we use for project management. So we would put together a guide on how to use ClickUp, so then new employees know how we use the software and can follow that through. So once I've got that in there, I can then preview what that's going to look like. Obviously the video is not there because I've not added one. And then when I'm ready, I can say I've completed. In fact, sorry, I can go back because we're just in the preview. I can also add, if I want to in here, I can add in different types of content as well. So I can also add in quizzes, and quizzes are quite a popular way of doing a quick test. So with the quiz, I can go in and say lesson 1 test, and then I can ask questions. So in fact, sorry, this is the question name. So it would be, what is the best way to cut grass? And then I could have my different options here. So it could be that it is, I don't know, a lawn mower, scissors, whatever you want it in there. I've chosen an example. I can't think of anything in there, but I can add in my multiple choice. I can mark which answer is the correct one. And then when I scroll down, I can go in and add additional questions in there as well, additional choices and additional questions. And use different types of questions as well. There's single choice, which is what we've got here, multiple choice, fill in the blank, or you can even do descriptive as well, where they've actually got to write some information. Once you've done that, they can then give scores based on that quiz, and you can actually set up rules on the quiz to say how much someone has to score to pass. So you can see here, I can say, right, they have to score at least 1 to pass. So I'm going to go in and do that, come off of there. And now we have our quiz. So I'll just remove that last lesson. And now I'm going to publish this course. And in fact, if I want to, I can either do it to everybody or just added users. I'm going to do it to everybody. And now when I go back to learning, you can now see I have my monthly gardening service course. If I swipe across here, I'm now logged in as a standard user. If I now go into the learning, I can now go in and see the monthly gardening services course. If I've been set specifically to do something, it would show up under my learning. But I can go into this course now, and you can see I've got lesson 1 and I've got my test, and I can enroll in that course. I can go through lesson 1, so I can see all my information here. I can complete it, and then I can go in and do my quiz. And there's lots of rules we can do around the quiz as well. We can also set the number of attempts somebody can do. We can have more questions. We can have a different passing rate. We can even put time limits on there as well if we want to. So I'm going to go in and start quiz. You can then see here's our first quiz. I'm going to select this one here because I think this is the right one. Hit review and complete, and it'll show us we have, it's showing just a preview, then we hit complete, and it'll tell us we have passed. And I can actually go in and see my answers as well and see what I got correct. And what's nice from an admin's point of view, they can then go in here and start understanding who's completed their courses, how did they score, what questions did they get wrong, and all of that will actually show up under reports as well, so you're able to report on what's going on. The final part of Zoho Learn is spaces. Spaces are simply a way of grouping knowledge manuals, articles and learning and quizzes together into groups. In my cases, I've created a limitless space, but if you were, say, a larger business, you might, for example, have a marketing space, a sales space, a fulfillment space, and then you would have knowledge guides and courses linked to those spaces rather than just having a massive long list of them. Hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully this is a helpful quick guide into Zoho Learn. We've got others that we'll be publishing as well, so stay tuned for more. Anything you need from us or any questions, just let me know. Speak soon. Bye.